Hello, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. Thank you for letting us be a part of your day. And be sure to follow the conversation on social media using the hashtag UVU Coaches Show. Again, that's hashtag UVU Coaches Show. We had a good weekend. It was a good weekend for a lot of sports fans. And Utah Valley had a rough weekend. We'll get into that a little bit later, but still a lot of positives to take away as we look forward. Utah Valley trending up, in my opinion, and I will get to that in just a little bit. Interesting to note, Saturday was December 7th, and for those in history know what day that is. That is Pearl Harbor Day. And I love movies and all that. For those who are close to me know that. And Pearl Harbor, you might have seen it on TV over the course of the weekend. Just one of those shows I'm not very into, even though I love history. And one of the reasons why is because I had the privilege and the honor of living 2 houses down growing up from a man named Joe Cio. And Joe Cio was a fantastic, tiny little Italian man. And Joe Cio was one of the guys that every time he would walk to the mailbox, my dad would make sure if I was anywhere in the room, in the vicinity with him, that he would say, "Hey, there goes a special man." And my dad would get very emotional about it. And my dad, being a 33-year veteran of the LA County Sheriff's Department, very much loving his country and loving the history behind his country and those who have protected it as well. He'd tell me many times the story about Joe Cio and how he was on the USS Aylwin, and that was just a little pontoon boat that was inside Pearl Harbor. And Joe was he was part of the U.S. Navy at the time, and countless holidays and countless just regular days, my dad would take me down to Joe's house, and as soon as I would open it up, it smelled pristine, and it had an old record player that would be playing Benny Goodman and other standards, and I just loved it. And we'd sit there, and Joe would tell us war stories, and he'd tell us how he was able to be one of the lucky ones to survive. And he even had a crazy story where after the attacks had happened, that his parents and his family had gotten a letter saying that he had died. And then a week later, that they received another letter when everything kind of settled that he was alive. And he said still, to the day that he passed on, that his family members never talked about that week and what they thought about. But I often think of Joe, and I'm grateful for my father for taking the time to teach me about December 7th, and to teach me what that meant to this country, and to teach me about those brave men and women who have sacrificed in the past and those that continue to do so now to protect the freedoms that we love here in this country. And God bless him, and God bless his country, and I'm grateful for Joe, and I'm grateful for those memories that I've had. And so those memories were passing through, at least me in my house this past weekend, but we hope that all those servicemen and women that we can come in contact with, hopefully they can continue to feel of our love and our appreciation for them. And again, what we do here at the UVU Coaches Show and how we broadcast sports, whether it's on ESPN 960 or any other platform, it really gets put in perspective when we take a step back. But we're grateful to be a part of that special family that is able to bring sports and to bring that wonderful mentality and atmosphere into people's homes and into people's lives, because we know how much it can benefit us all. So with that being said, this is the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Got a good show for you today. Whack Hoops Digest Kyle McDonald will drop by, as he does each week, to give us the latest scoop in the men's basketball department of the Western Athletic Conference. We'll hear from Utah Valley University Athletic Director, Dr. Jared Sumption. I was able to sit down and talk with him during halftime of the Weber State men's basketball game on Wednesday night. And we'll also be able to hear from Utah Valley men's basketball assistant coach, Todd Phillips. Todd Phillips was kind enough to join us And he's always a great interview. Love talking with Coach Phillips. So let's get you caught up on the week that was for Utah Valley men's basketball. The Wolverines went 0-2 last week, starting off with a tough 72-67 loss at home on Wednesday night to finish. They lost to in-state rival Weber State. T.J. Washington had 18 points. Trey Woodbury added 14, and it was Weber's first ever win in Orem. And so I guess it was a little bit of a payback since Utah Valley got the first ever win up in Ogden last year. The Wolverines started the game strong, forcing the 7 Wildcat turnovers in the first 3 minutes and took a 28-24 lead at the break. And then we know Weber State's gift to the NBA is all-star Damian Lillard. But in the second half, Wednesday night, the UCCU Center witnessed something special in Wildcat guard Jarek Harding, who dropped over 20-plus of his game-high 36 points and who single-handedly carried the Wildcats to victory. So that's a name, Jarek Harding. If you haven't heard it now here in the state of Utah, you might as well get used to it because that kid is a player. He's the real deal. And I think the future is very bright for that young man. So he finished off with 36 points and was really the huge difference maker, especially in that second half against the Wolverines on Wednesday. But like I said, there were some positives to take away from this. Kazan Jardine finished in double digits with 10 points. Brandon Averett had 9. Eman Olajupoke pulled down a team-high 10 rebounds and 6 block shots. Now, Olajupoke, he's tied for 4th all-time in school history for single-game blocks just in Wednesday night alone. He had 6 blocks, people. Now, UVU, side note here, UVU is one of the top 5 best blocking teams in the country. Yeah, you heard that right, the country, led by Olajupoke. And I called Wednesday's game with UVU legend Big Ben Aird on the WAC Digital Network. And even he said that Eman will probably break his school record of blocks. So if you haven't had the chance to come out and see the Wolverines in person, especially Eman Olajupoke, you have an opportunity this Saturday, and you need to come out and do so against Northern Arizona. Tip-off is slated for 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. You can listen to Jimmy McCullough call that game as he approaches his 300th game. I believe his 300th game is going to be not this Saturday, but next Saturday in California versus Long Beach State. So great milestone, fantastic milestone for our beloved Jimmy Mack. So that was Wednesday, and then on Saturday, the Wolverines went down south to Cedar City to face the T-Birds of Southern Utah University. And it was actually pretty cool. A couple shuttle buses of fans, including UVU President Astrid Tumines, was there in attendance, and the announcers even said that it was one of the most well-attended home games that they've had in recent memory. So Utah Valley showed up and provided an electric atmosphere. So the Wolverines, again, they fell in that one. But this one, it was a nail-biter. It went all the way down literally to the final seconds. The final score was 73-72. But Southern Utah scored the game's first 4 points. The Wolverines used an 11-0 run. So Wolverines went on an 11-0 run to take an early 11-4 lead with about a little less than 17 minutes left in the opening half. T.J. Washington then scored the team's next 7 straight points as Utah Valley extended their lead to 20-10 with a little over 12 minutes to go in the half. Both teams traded buckets before the T-Birds scored the final 4 points of the half, cutting the Wolverine lead 34-32 going into the break. The Wolverines used an 11-5 start to the half to extend their lead 51-39. And with about a little less than 15 left to go in the game, the T-Birds responded with a 7-0 spurt to cut the lead to 5. Trey Woodbury scored the next 12 points for the Wolverines to maintain the lead 63-56 with 9:53 left to go in the contest. Then SUU answered with a 10-4 surge to come within 1 point, 67-66, before a layup by Washington and a free throw by Brandon Morley gave UVU a 70-66 lead with about 2:50 left to go in the game. Now, at this point, I was thinking, okay, Wolverines are going to pull out a very gutsy win here because Southern Utah, they're a gutsy team. They have a pretty decent resume so far on the season. and they're one of the most athletically gifted teams that they've had in a long time. So after Brandon Morley puts the Wolverines up 70-66, the T-Birds scored the next 5 straight points to take their first lead of the second half. Brandon Averett hit 2 clutch free throws to give the Wolverines a 72-71 advantage with just 14 seconds left. Then Southern Utah got a layup to go with about 8 seconds left, and Averett was unable to convert a driving layup with some contact as SUU pulled out the 73-72 win. So I say some because we can't go back in time and we can't change this. But when you watch the game, it definitely looked like Brandon Averett got an elbow or forearm across the face. But in that situation, with time expiring, the referees are not going to call that call. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to make that call to put the guy at the line to hit the game-winning free throw with .01 seconds left or .1 seconds. It's not going to happen. But the Wolverines should not have put themselves in that situation. They continued to have some foul trouble late in the game, but SUU is a very tough team, and this was honestly a very well-rounded Utah Valley University basketball team, completely different than what it was on Wednesday night against Weber State in the positive margin. A lot of team basketball, a lot of ball sharing, so there was definitely a lot of positives to take away from Saturday. The Wolverines shot about 47% from the field, including an 820 mark from downtown. UVU held the Thunderbirds to just 34% from the floor and 5 of 16 from beyond the arc. But Southern Utah's 15 offensive rebounds was one of the big difference makers that led to a 16-3 advantage in the second chance points category. So Southern Utah also held a 26-12 advantage and made free throws. So we've heard the cliche time and time again. You got to make your free throws. You got to make your free throws. It's the little things. And in this game, it ended up being the difference. But one of the big positives that I take away from the week that was for Utah Valley was Trey Woodbury. Trey Woodbury has showed up consistently over the last 3 straight games for Utah Valley, and each game improving more and more and more. And we knew that coming into the season that Trey Woodbury was going to score. We knew that was his marquee. So he led the team with 19 points, extending his streak of made free throws to 17 in the process. And the T.J. Washington been very consistent as well. He added 14 points of his own on a pair of threes, and then Averett chipped in with 11 points and had a team-high 5 assists. Brandon Morley pulled down a team-high 8 rebounds. Jamison Overton swiped 3 steals and a pair of blocks as well. So, again, more positives to take away. A lot of Wolverines in double digits on Saturday, and it was just one of those games. It was a very tough, hard-fought game, but overall, about 3 Wolverines in double digits. Trey Woodbury again with 19, TJ with 14, Averett with 11. Kaz and Jardine had 8. Brandon Morley and Jamison Overton both had 9 apiece as well. Eman Olajupoki with 2. And big Brad Kitchen came in. He saw some minutes, again, because of foul trouble. And Brad Kitchen has been fantastic. And you'll hear from Coach Phillips a little bit later on singing his praises and showing up and stepping up when he needs to for his squad. So that was the week that was for Utah Valley, 0-2. But they're going to go ahead and just continuing to use this as fuel to build and get ready for conference play. So they've got a few more games left before the conference season at the start of 2020 in January. But again, like I said, the only game this week for the Wolverines is Saturday. Saturday, the home game at the UCCU Center, 7:30 Mountain Standard Time is the tip-off. If you can, please make your way down there. And if you can't, try to get there. But we know that if you do try and are unable to do so, you can always listen to Jimmy McCullough here on ESPN 960, and Holton Hunsaker will return to the broadcast booth with me on Saturday for the WAC Digital Network presentation of Utah Valley hosting Northern Arizona. The Lumberjacks coming into town. Lumberjacks coming off of a loss to Riverside and then a win against Omaha, and it should be a very, very evenly matched game. And from what my sources have told me, I think this might be the first time that we will see Isaiah White since he got injured very early on in the season. And if that is so, then that would be a huge addition and a bonus for this team. But we're just getting started here on a Monday afternoon, or for the podcast world, wherever or whenever this is for you, here on the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. We are going to take a quick break. We'll hear from Kyle McDonald from WAC Hoops Digest after this, and then we'll hear from Dr. Jared Sumption, and then finishing off with Coach Todd Phillips. But this is the UVU Coaches Show. We'll be right back after this here on ESPN 960.
UVU Alumni has gone digital. Download the new UVU Alumni app. It allows you to carry a digital version of your alumni membership card with you at all times. Get discounts at local and national retailers. See what perks your UVU Alumni membership has to offer, and stay current with upcoming alumni events. You can even find former classmates using the app. Download it today.
Hi, this is Tim at Sierra West Jewelers. Sierra West is having its annual sale, 40% off most items in the store, and we have up to 5 years on credit, OAC. Big names, 42 years, only at Sierra West Jewelers.
UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. And it's that special time each week where we sit down with Kyle McDonald from WAC Hoops Digest, break down what happened last week for Utah Valley and as well as the Western Athletic Conference. And I know lots of things happened last week over the weekend, so we'll dive in with Kyle. Kyle, how you doing tonight, my man?
I'm good, Brandon. I'm good. It's been it was a good weekend. Sunday we got to go to my wife's family's Christmas party, and that was always fun. I had to give one of my brothers-in-law a hard time because he's a big Utah fan, and so my white elephant gift was dedicated to the Oregon Ducks, and he laughed, but it's all in good fun. So it's been a good weekend, and there were some good outcomes of some games, some big games this past week and weekend for WAC Hoops, and so looking forward to talking a little bit about it tonight.
We'll just go ahead and we'll start there, Kyle. I know you tweeted just a couple days ago that here's what your tweet exactly said was, "This is how big of a struggle it has been for WAC Hoops to start the 2019-20 season. KenPom had the WAC ranked 17 at the end of 2018-2019. Now KenPom had the WAC ranked 21 as of, I believe this was Friday afternoon, early Saturday morning. And then you updated that, and it said that as of Sunday night, WAC Hoops is back to 19th in the KenPom conference rankings. Perhaps the big wins by CBU and Seattle U on Saturday night." So explain to me what you're seeing right now from the conference, Kyle.
So I don't think, unless something drastic happens in the next 2-3 weeks, I don't know that the Western Athletic Conference is going to get a win over a Power 6 conference opponent. And when I say Power 6, I'm including the Big East in that mixture in college hoops. The Big East is one of the power conferences in college basketball. But when New Mexico State lost on Saturday at Washington State, that was a bad loss because that was probably the one game that I had circled of the remaining games against Power 6 conference opponents that was the most winnable out of all of them. Because there's games at Creighton, Kansas City plays Kansas on a neutral site, then there's a game against Washington, 2 games against Texas Tech, at Mississippi State, and at Oklahoma. So if you want to look at those, you're going to tell me who's going to beat one of those teams in those 7 games. I just don't see it happening, and so that's a big thing. The other thing is that teams like New Mexico State, Grand Canyon, where all the hype was on them to start this, prior to the season, they haven't really gotten, what's the word I want to say, the consistency that they're looking for. I mean, Grand Canyon has struggled all season long. They're sitting at 4-7 right now. New Mexico State is at 5-5. And, they get one big win. You think that's the start. They beat UTEP this week. in the rematch of the Battle for I-10, and then they go to Washington State, play Washington State on a neutral floor in Spokane, and they come out flat and end up losing to the Cougars. So it's just been a struggle, for some consistency within the conference. And they're losing games they really shouldn't be losing. Like I'll take Utah Valley, for instance. Losing at home to Lamar, losing at Mount St. Mary's, and not to take anything away from Southern Utah on Saturday, but Utah Valley had that game won, and they kind of gave it away, late in the game when they didn't hit a field goal for the final 3.5 minutes of the game. So there's 3 wins that would put Utah Valley at 7-4 right now in the season. But I mean, it's just, that's the kind of struggle it's been all year, Brandon, in the Western Athletic Conference. Is they haven't beat a Power 6 conference team, and they're not winning the games that they probably should win. And that's been the biggest problem with the fluctuation in the Ken Palm rankings.
Well, another crazy thing to take a look at, too, like you mentioned, there's only one team right now above 500, and that's Seattle U with a 6-5 overall record. And if you look at all the
technically, sorry to interrupt. Technically, with the win over UC Irvine last night, or on Saturday, excuse me, Cal Baptist is at 5-4 as well. So there's 2 teams in the WAC right now with a winning record.
You're right. I stand corrected. But taking a look at the overall conference, I mean, their away games, I know some of these schools have been trying to play it bold and play big schools and big names, but like you said, a lot of these games are winnable games. They're 4-27 on the road as a conference.
Yeah, and the biggest win came on Saturday night with Cal Baptist defeating UC Irvine, who won 31 games last year, and beat Kansas State in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, the road struggles, it's been amazing. It's hard to fathom how you can't win a road game. I will say this, though, some of those road games are against Power 6 opponents, so that plays a little bit into it. But there are some very winnable games that the WAC hasn't. They haven't performed well away from, their home arenas. And the thing is, when you go into conference play, winning on the road is what's going to separate the teams that are going to vie for that conference championship and those that aren't. So somebody's got to break the ice. I mean, Utah Valley, even though they're only 4-7 right now, they have 2 wins away from the UCCU Center in Orem. They beat North Dakota State. And who was the other one? Now I've lost my train of thought. They beat North Dakota State.
And UAB.
And at the time when they beat UAB, that was the best win in the conference. So, somebody's got to step up and win away from home. And here's the kicker. Of the 4 wins, California Baptist got it Saturday night at UC Irvine. Chicago State got a road win this past week at SIU Edwardsville. And like I said, Utah Valley has the other 2 road wins. So, Chicago State has a road win. Why can't anybody else get a road win?
Utah Valley leads the conference in road wins with 2. And so that's just what the way it is right now. Again, you're listening to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow talking with Kyle McDonald from WAC Hoops Digest. You can follow him on social media at Twitter at Kyle Sports Bias. You also follow the WAC Hoops Digest official Twitter handle at WAC Hoops Digest. You can shoot Kyle any questions that you have or take a look at all of his fantastic research that he does at WACHoopsDigest.com. Again, Kyle, one of the last questions here about the conference before we talk about Utah Valley this past week. What do you like? Do you see anything changing remotely soon? I know New Mexico State has a lot of injuries. You expect them to come back, these players trickling back one by one, and once they get to full health, you expect them to be just heads and shoulders above everybody?
It's kind of expected, but on the flip side, I'm not sure that's necessarily going to happen. The reason I say that is because Terrell Brown, who was first team All-WAC last season and was preseason All-WAC this year, he hasn't shot the ball well for the Aggies. He's really struggled. It was funny. Somebody tweeted, I think it was a New Mexico State fan, tweeted that since he missed those free throws in the NCAA tournament against Auburn, that would have given the Aggies the win over Auburn, his confidence has been shot, it seems like, because he hasn't been that same Terrell Brown. So I don't know if A.J. Harris and Clayton Henry coming back are necessarily going to put the Aggies that much ahead of everybody else in the WAC. I think they will be, but not as much as it was expected prior to the season starting. So I think you watch out for California Baptist. I mean, they've been playing really well lately. And then Seattle, now that they have Riley Grigsby back, who started the season with an injured wrist, didn't play till about right before Thanksgiving when they were down in Orlando. They're 4-1 since Riley Grigsby came back, and they've won 4 straight. And so Seattle is finally getting fully healthy and playing well. California Baptist playing really well. I expect Utah Valley to play better. We'll see what happens. And Grand Canyon, I'm not sure what to make of them. Cal State Bakersfield, I think, is one of the most athletic teams in the conference. And considering it's Rod Barnes' last go in the Western Athletic Conference this year before they go to the Big West, who knows what they'll do. The problem is there's only going to be 2 teams, in my opinion, that could really go into conference play with winning records. California Baptist is one of them, and I believe it was Utah Valley when I was looking at it that could be the other one. But they'll have to win, their next 4 games to do that, which are very winnable games. So we'll see, but it's going to be a struggle because no team is going to really have that confidence edge, consistency going into WAC play that they might have hoped for when the season began.
Switching gears from the Western Athletic Conference to the Wolverines of Utah Valley specifically. Utah Valley last week, Kyle, again, another disappointing, to say the least, home game. They had their in-state rivals, Weber State. They had them edged out, but then Weber State just exploded in the second half. The Wolverines got into more foul trouble, which has been a plague lately for them. They fall to the Wildcats on Wednesday, 72-67, and then they travel down to Cedar City and fall to Southern Utah University, 73-72. What were your overall thoughts and takeaways from both of those games last week?
The game against Weber State. Let's just let fans know that Weber State guard Jarek Harding is a player. I mean, we saw that in that game. That was crazy. I mean, he had 27 of his game high 36 points in the second half. That was the game right there. I mean, despite that Utah Valley dominated points in the paint, fast break points. I mean, that was the game. Was that Jarek Harding scored 36 points and 27 of them were in the second half. They couldn't stop him. It didn't matter what they did. And so that there's not much more to say other than Jarek Harding, in my opinion. Watching that was I'm not a big Sky fan or whatever, but it was fun to watch a player like that, whether it was a pull-up jumper or attacking the rim or pulling up for 3 or even going to the free throw line. It was impressive to watch. And I mean, Weber State, they're known for Damian Lillard. Well, they got another great one in Jarek Harding, and he did what he had to do to help Weber State beat Utah Valley on Wednesday night. And then Southern Utah, I mean, the biggest difference in that game, if we're being honest, was the fact that Southern Utah got to the free throw line more. Utah Valley struggled with foul trouble all night. And there was a chance for Brandon Averett to hit 2 free throws that would have at least given the Utah Valley the lead. but he missed the front of the 1-on-1. Southern Utah comes back and scores to take a 1-point lead. Then Brandon Averett now hits 2 free throws to give him 1 point. I mean, it was just kind of a frustrating game because Utah Valley had dominated most of the game. I think I tweeted out that they had led for almost 36 minutes of that game, on Saturday night, and yet they couldn't come away with the win because they really gave it away. So I tweeted out last Saturday after the game that the Wolverines led for 36 minutes and 17 seconds of that game. SUU led 4-3 at the 18:57 mark of the first half, and then for the final 8 seconds. So, you got to be able to finish games, and I know that Kaz and Jardine, Eman Olajoke, how do you say that name, Brandon? Since you say it quite a bit.
Olajoke.
Okay, there it is. He fouled out early in the second half. Trey Woodbury fouled out in the second half, and he was the leading scorer for Utah Valley. It was just a mixture of bad timing with the fouls, with the free throws. I mean, the stats don't even tell the I don't know how to explain it. The stats don't even really tell the whole story because it was just a game that Utah Valley couldn't finish, and they should have on Saturday night. And unfortunately, that's kind of been the story, like you had mentioned. That's been the story for Utah Valley right now, that they just can't finish games, and it's killing them. That's why they've lost 4 straight.
Well, now the Wolverines have to switch gears, and they will face a Northern Arizona Lumberjack squad that is coming off of a win against Omaha, and then right after that, right before that, a loss to UC Davis. Good news is that game is the only game of the week for the Wolverines. So Saturday, 7:30 Mountain Time is the tip-off. You can listen to Jim McCullough here on ESPN 960, and then I will be with Holton Hunsaker on the WAC Digital Network on TV for that one. Real quick, Kyle, what do the Wolverines have to do to be successful in that game on Saturday?
Play together. I don't mean to be critical, because yes, I cover the WAC for WAC Hoops Digest. That's my website, and I love the conference. But I do have a little bit of a bias towards Utah Valley because that's where I went to school. That's who I covered for the last 4 years. And the thing is, they have to play together. I think about one thing that stuck out to me about that is when Trey Woodbury picked up his 5th foul, he didn't even know he had 4 fouls. It was like when he picked it up and they told him he was fouled out, it was like he wanted, well, when did I pick up my other fouls? It was almost like nobody had told him. The other thing, though, about that is one of the Utah Valley players didn't have a foul up to that point. So why isn't that player stepping up, committing a foul to put, Southern Utah at the free throw line instead of having your leading scorer, the guy who Southern Utah really couldn't stop, commit the foul and foul out at that important junction in the game? The communication, the togetherness, the ability to, understand the game and what's going on and how to best win a game as a team, I think is what, over these next 4 non-conference games, Utah Valley has to really get together on if they're going to have success when WAC play starts on January 2nd. Because there's been a lot of there hasn't been a lot of team play that happens. When they do play as a team, they get out in transition, they move the ball, everybody touches it, and they create open shots for each other. And it's fun basketball to watch. But when somebody wants to do too much or try to take over or try to do it all on their own, that's when it gets frustrating. That's when they start to struggle. And so coming together as a team and seeing the success that they can have as a team, is what they should take a look at and really focus on with this, time in between games. Like you said, they have a week till they play their next game. So that's what they have to do. Let go of the egos, leave the egos at the door, and come together as a team.
Excellent stuff, as always. Thank you, Kyle.
All right. Thanks, Brandon, for having me.
All right, that was Kyle McDonald from WhackHoopsDigest.com. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with an in-game interview I had with Athletic Director Jared Sumption last week. This is the UVU Coaches Show, presented by the UVU Alumni Association, here on ESPN 960.
At Kengar Volkswagen in Orem, we believe in supporting our neighbors and the hardworking UVU basketball team. Since our store is perfectly located on University Parkway in Orem, we're ready to play ball with our UVU Wolverines and give them and you a car buying experience unlike any other. Be sure to stop by our store for all your automotive needs, because at Kengar Volkswagen in Orem, we hear you.
Your number one UVU basketball fans, Neil Dastrup Insurance and Auto Owners Insurance is a winning combination. You know texting while driving is dangerous, yet most people admit to doing it anyway. Drivers are 23 times more likely to be involved in a car accident while texting. Know the facts and wait to text. The danger is real and it applies to you. Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. Neil Dastrup Insurance is a proud partner of the UVU men's basketball team.
Okay, everybody, this is the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. Again, great show so far. We've heard from Kyle McDonald from Whack Hoops Digest, and we're going to hear from Coach Todd Phillips in just a little bit. But I was able to sit down at halftime on Wednesday evening versus Weber State with Athletic Director Jared Sumption, Dr. Jared Sumption, Utah Valley's own Dr. J, and a good friend of mine, and he's a fantastic individual. And here's a little snippet from that interview that we had with Dr. Jared Sumption.
We are pleased to be joined by the doctor, Utah Valley's Dr. J, Dr. Jared Sumption. Jared, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Brandon. It's exciting to be here. Got a great atmosphere, and I wish we'd score a couple more points here, but we'll get there. Get there in the good second half.
At least we have the lead right now.
That's right. Hey, you score more points than the other team, that's a good night. So.
Absolutely. So what's life been like for you the past few months? Really busy.
You know what? It's been wild, but a good kind of wild. We've had some great things going on. You probably have read in the newspaper generous support from doTERRA. That is kind of a game changer for the athletic department. Multi-million-dollar donation that is really just benefiting us in such tremendous ways. Thanks to their generous support, it's moving the needle on a lot of different things for the athletic department.
Now, for those that may not know, publicly, is this all going to go to one spot, or is it going to be distributed?
Yeah. The donation is actually going department-wide and university-wide. $17.7 million donation from doTERRA. It's really just a tremendous game changer for all of our sports. It's impacting the entire department, and it's really the first $2 million donation out of that to a new student-athlete success center that will benefit all 370 of our student-athletes. And then they also made tremendous donations to our men's and women's basketball programs, and new turf at baseball, new performance center for volleyball, women's basketball and wrestling in the Lockhart Arena. I mean, they really, their impact just goes so far beyond just one sport, but it affects all of our student athletes and the entire university. They donated across the spectrum to the entire university, and I mean, really, they're just such tremendous people to help out the community in the way that they have.
Again, we are here courtside at halftime with Utah Valley University Athletic Director Dr. Jared Sumption. Now, Jared, new head coach Mark Madsen for the men's team, new head coach Dan Nielsen for the women's team. You struck a gold mine in two high-quality, high-caliber men.
We are so fortunate to have both of these coaches here leading our men and women. They were dealt some heavy blows coming into the program. Coach Madsen, I just talked to some donors before the game, and, Connor McDougal tearing his ACL the week after he's hired, having to go and replace basically half a team. We have one player on the team right now who actually suited up for us last year. So he's done a tremendous job. We've had some great victories early on in the year, women's basketball is building and growing and kind of starting a new system there. And, both coaches, both programs, all of our student athletes are doing such a great job for us. We're really excited about our future. We're building something great, and, we're so thankful to have both of them as our coaches.
What can the Wolverine fans have to look forward to come springtime?
You know what? In the springtime, we expect some WAC championships, some NCAA tournaments. Nothing less than the best for the Wolverines. So we're really excited for the WAC basketball tournament. Right now, the WAC is wide open, both the men's and the women's side. We fully expect to be competing in March, and so I know our coaching staff they're working really hard, doing everything they can. The student athletes are buying in. And, we're ready to go to the dance. That's our goal.
Well, Doctor, appreciate it as always. We know you're a busy man. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Brandon. You do a great job for us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Again, that was Dr. Jared Sumption, Utah Valley University Athletic Director. Good man. Great taste in Mexican restaurants. We're big fans of Joe Bandito's down in Springville. I still owe him. And don't worry, Jared, if you're listening, I have not forgot about that. But we will take a quick break. We'll be right back. Finish up the show with Utah Valley men's basketball assistant coach Todd Phillips right after this here on ESPN 960.
Wolverine Crossing is Utah Valley's premier student housing. We provide the largest amenities in Utah, including 2 resort-style pools, 2 hot tubs, a 2-story gym, sand volleyball, basketball court, and so much more. Pick from our newly renovated 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom layouts. We know we have the perfect fit for you. Spots are filling fast. Come in today for a tour and find out why Wolverine Crossing is home for you.
Why does your business need Vivid Print today?
For banners, yard signs, NCR forms, business cards, promotional items.
Why will you need Vivid Print tomorrow?
For booklets, business card magnets, custom printed fabric items, trade show pop-ups.
And why Vivid Print in the future?
For letterhead, newsletters, flyers, stickers, window claims.
Vivid Print, promotional signs and graphics.
Hi, this is Jamie Barris with Vivid. If you can dream it, we can design and print it.
Go online to get-vivid.com and get ready for great service. And Vivid, print promotional signs and graphics.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. Great show so far. We've heard from Kyle McDonald, from Jared Sumption. Now it's our pleasure to meet with men's basketball assistant coach Todd Phillips, a man from Idaho, just outside of Boise. Went to the same high school as my mom, and my mom is stoked to have a fellow Bora High person next to me.
Hey, no problem. Bora High, that's where it's at, man. Great memories from there. Long time ago, though.
Coach, in the full court press, you said that you went to the MC Hammer Vanilla Ice concert. Now, who did you like more, MC Hammer or Vanilla Ice?
Oh, that is a good question. That was a good question. I'm not a huge music guy. I like some music. I would probably say at the time was probably more the Vanilla Ice. More of his songs, but both of them had huge hits back in the day, and so I was kind of just excited to be there with some good friends. So that was a lot of fun.
So you're saying that if you were to go with the team doing karaoke or something like that, and Vanilla Ice came on, you'd be the first on stage?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I can sing half the words. That'd probably be that's pretty good for me to know half the words. So I'd know half the words to this song, but I could sing in the background for sure. I could be in the background. Someone else could be up rapping up front.
Who would be, whether it's a coach? Well, I'll ask you two parts to this question. Who of the coaching staff would be the first one up there rapping and throwing down a karaoke?
I would probably say Michael Johnson, probably of all of us, is probably most outgoing to do something like that of the coaches. So Michael Johnson probably could get up there and sing and rap a little bit. On the players, I don't know who on the players. Maybe Isaiah White. Isaiah's up there. I've known Isaiah a long time, and I could see him probably get after it a little bit up there. So I think it would be scary regardless who was up there. It'd be a little scary.
Coach, if you weren't into basketball, what other sport? I know you said you like to golf. Outside of golf, is there any other sport that you like to involve yourself with?
Actually, I played football in high school. I watched quite a bit of football, especially college. I love everything college. I get to see some of the pro stuff, but I love everything college. Sports. So probably be college football. Especially, I talked to a couple buddies that coach college, and it's just a whole different world from what they're doing and their breakdowns and stuff like that. But that would probably be pretty fun as well.
So was your family excited about Boise State's victory over the weekend?
Oh, they were stoked. They were stoked, and so I go home and I try to put their elation in perspective. And then back in Utah, you kind of brag about them. So kind of getting both worlds there a little bit, but they were excited, for the win and to kind of see what's next. But they have such high expectations there that, once they lose a game or two, they feel like the season's over. And it's like, no, you guys still won the Mountain West. So they're pretty excited about it.
Now, this time of year, Coach, it gets pretty crazy as far as travel schedules go and everything. How do you find a balance for you to be a family man?
You got to make it. You got to make it work. And I have a great wife who understands the rigors of the road and this kind of time of year, and it's crazy. And I'm sure in her mind she's like, I can't wait, till March and the season's over. And then as a coach, you go through that when you find that final game, you go through that depression of the season's over and what might have been. And I've only had 2 times in my life where I haven't been sad at the end of the season, and that was the 2 years we won our last game of the year, won the national championship. And it's like, it's most of the time you're trying to figure out what you did wrong and what you can do better the next year. So it's the balance is tricky. I believe it's really harder on the family, on the wives, on the kids than it probably is on the on the coach, because there's so much going on all the time. And you lose a game and you got to turn around and play the next week, and you got to get the guys up, and it's an interesting balance, but it's also a great way to live your life. There's always something on the horizon. There's always something coming over that you got to get ready for that makes it pretty exciting.
And your kids they're all full on board with this whole schedule as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I got a 13-year-old daughter, and the great thing about her is she loves me whether we win or lose, and she's there, and what's up, what's next, and what's going on. And she, is at that age where she's still excited for Christmas, and so it's fun.
Now, I know Coach Madsen has one little guy, and his wife is expecting. Has he? Have you given him some pointers or anything on how to balance anything at all yet?
I to be honest, I have not given him any pointers. I think he balances it pretty well himself. He understands, and a big part of it, of the family. And I do definitely think one kid is a lot easier than having 3 or 4. And my daughter's just getting to an age where a lot of activities. We just went to a concert the other night with her. So, it's when they're little, it's kind of easy. They come to the games, and it's, your wife that has a hard time of trying to corral them and keep them in. But as they get older, now you start running around to things, I think it'll get much more difficult as the children get older.
What concert did you go to with your daughter?
Just a concert she was in, a concert she was singing at her school. She's at Orem Junior High, so just a little concert, that they sing and do. I don't know, it wasn't much Christmas songs as I thought it would be, but it was, the choir that she's in at school. And so the great thing about it is like I said, I'm not a big music person, so it was about an hour, which was perfect. I can handle it. And it was great. Got to see her, and so it was a lot of fun.
So you're saying that she gets her musical talents from your wife?
Absolutely. And then my wife would say, I don't know what talents those are either, but so.
Well, Coach, a couple heartbreakers last week on Wednesday at home against Weber State, and then of course on Saturday losing by 1 to a very tough and very athletic SUU team. What do you think what are your overall takeaways from you from your perspective?
We're striving obviously to get ready for league, to grow as a team and figure, obviously us all being new, what our guys can and can't do, and try to put them in those situations. And so, I think at Weber, we felt like we underachieved. We didn't play as well as we wanted to, and struggled, and then trying to kind of rebound and come back and play probably the best team in that league right now, SUU. I think a lot of people predict them to win it. Ultra long, ultra talented, I think their coaches on their coaches show down there said maybe one of the most talented teams that's ever been in Southern Utah. Tons and tons of Division I transfers, and to go in there and to battle with our guys, and we had 3 guys foul out. We didn't have Isaiah White, and so just the grit with our guys. I think we were disappointed with the loss. We lost basically there at the buzzer, but really happy overall with how much they fought and how much we kind of rebounded from not playing great at home against Weber. And as we go into next week, it's trying to put all those things together and say, with expectations of what we want to do and how we want to do it.
You mentioned Isaiah White. Is there any timetable right now with his return?
There's not. It's the pain's gone away from everything I've been told from him, but it's just the stability to make sure that his knee is stable. And as coaches, we want to push him back, and we want him as soon as we can. But also on the long term, we don't want to bring him back and then he's hurting out for the rest of the year or out for another month. So, I don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping this next weekend. But if you asked me that 2 weeks ago, I was hoping 2 weeks ago he'd been ready. So, I think he's trying to shoot for this weekend to play against NAU. But it's basically up to the doctors and his knee and how it feels. So we'll see what happens.
We knew that coming into this season there were a lot of moving parts, a lot of new faces trying to really come together and gel as one. We knew that Trey Woodbury was a shooter, and we knew that was one thing that he was very well known for, scoring. And I feel like in the last week and a half or so, we've really started to see a comfort level from him arise. What do you think has changed with that?
I think it's his comfort level with us, and with his teammates. Obviously, everybody being new, and us trying to really work hard and figure out ways to put him in the best possible spots to be successful. And with any new coaching staff, that's kind of a big thing. Is like guys are only as good as where you can help display their talents. I've obviously been in this business a long time, and had some guys where maybe you didn't think they're that talented, but you got them in the right spot where they could really excel, and they were great. And I think Trey is a little bit of that. He can do a lot of things, and so trying to figure out, okay, what is he best at? Where's he score the easiest? Where can we get him to help him shine the most? Without obviously taking away from other guys and those kind of things. So there's kind of a game within the game as we go each game, and sometimes hey, you get a loss, but you figure out, hey, this guy's not bad down here, or this guy can do this a little bit more. Let's try to focus on that a little bit. And I think that's kind of where we've been with Trey is trying to figure out where he fits and can do the most damage as a player.
Has anybody surprised you so far on your staff?
I think all the guys surprised us in little things that they do. Basically, obviously coming in and not, maybe knowing of the guys, but not knowing their game and being around it a lot. Obviously, E-Man has been, one of the top shot blockers in the country. If you ask me that going in, the kid's great, but, usually when you talk about top shot blockers, you're looking at 6'9", 7 foot. E-Man stands about 6'7", maybe generous. 6'7", long arms, great timing on the ball, and just his ability to get his hands on balls and block shots has been really impressive. And he's done a great job for us. If we can keep him out of foul trouble, we can keep him on the floor a little bit more. He'd help us a lot. So I think that's really impressive that he's blocking shots at an elite level. And that was one of the things when we went after him, when we were recruiting him, was like, hey, we know he's a good shot blocker. We know he can help in that aspect of the game, and he's probably exceeded our expectations in the level that he's doing that at.
What are you expecting from NAU on Saturday?
I'll be honest with you right now, the kind of our focus and mine a little bit, because it's not my scout, is to focus on us and what we're doing to be better. A lot of these games that have been close down the stretch, it comes down to one play here or one play there, and trying to either eliminate the bad mistake or maybe it's like, oh, we scored 3 times on this little action on the cross screen. We probably should have called it 4 more times, and make a good play a great play. And so my emphasis has been on that a lot as we get ready to go into NAU this next week. So if you said, hey, who's their best player? I haven't even looked at that, to be honest with you, to tell you where they're at. We'll dig into that a little bit as we get in tomorrow with our staff, and we'll meet. And each coach has a scout. So like I had the Southern Utah scout. So the next coach is going to prepare for the next game. So I think, kind of to answer your question or not answer it, is I've been really focused on what we're going to do offensively, and I like the direction we're going. Our percentages are coming up. We're shooting it better. We're moving the ball better. We're playing better team basketball, and so I expect us to play much better than we did against Weber State at home on against Northern Arizona.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Coach. We know you're busy. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
You bet. I appreciate it.
All right, that was assistant coach Todd Phillips for Utah Valley men's basketball. That'll do it for us today on the Coaches Show. Thank you for all of our hardworking staff and crew behind the scenes. I'm Brandon Crow. It's saying so long, and we'll see you next week here on ESPN 960.